Okay, this video is about James Tour, PhD, academic hero. James Tour, born in 1959, so he's in his early 60s. He's a chemist and a nanotechnologist. I jokingly call him God's ass kicker, and the reason I say that is this guy's a real genius. You want to see a real genius? Watch some videos of this guy. And he just runs circles around all these liars from evolutionary biology, origin of life research, and environmentalism. So what happens is, for example, when I was a young guy, I didn't know if I wanted to be a biologist, research scientist, or a physician at first. And so I actually, was also interested in chemistry. I minored in chemistry originally at Stanford until I realized I didn't like synthetic lab. It smelled like paint. But then when I was around environmentalism, these biology, evolutionary biology, I majored in evolutionary biology, I was quite surprised at the attitude of these students and their professors. Basically, they hated people. I mean, one of their big goals was to try to take away as much farmland as possible and turn it into national parks. Like that, there was a group called the Nature Conservancy that was very popular with them. Donate money to Nature Conservancy so they can buy land, take it away from farmers. And I couldn't believe what a bunch of liars they were. They would lie about stuff routinely, and then they would just say, well, it's for good cause. We're trying to save the environment. And I did not agree with that. I'm sort of like, number one, I liked farmers. I had met a lot of farmers, and I liked them. Also, I think part of being a scientist is you should be honest. I mean, how can you end up doing good work if you're dishonest about your work? So one of the things I like about this guy, James Tour, for example, if you look at the origin of life research, the ones trying to claim they can figure out how to make life arise, they're such a bunch of liars. They lie constantly in their papers. You'd be amazed. This is true. Anybody who studies it can see this. And so when James Tour reviews their papers, he just makes fun of them. He catches all their lies so easily. It's funny. Like they'll claim that their experiment produced some substance and they bought it from a laboratory. It's rather humorous if you understand just some of the basics of origin of life, chemistry, and history. He's quite impressive. He just picks them apart. It's entertaining. It's humorous how much he can just show what a bunch of phonies they are. Part of this whole stuff with Darwinism too is the atheistic movement tries to make Darwinism its religion in a sense and tries to use it to explain everything. And Darwinism has its place. I mean, it's real useful to explain variety within a species, variety within even perhaps a family level group. But it cannot explain more extensive genetic variety between different groups of animals, for example. And the other thing is, one of the things about taking land away from farmers and making it into natural parks was it was part of this whole movement to get people to eat more plant foods, because it takes a lot less land to provide food for people if they're eating plant foods than if they're eating cattle, for example, because the cattle has to eat a lot of food. All right, so, but you would say, well, gee, why don't we just get everybody low fat, low sodium, plant-based diet? But the big money that owns these fast food companies, junk food companies, drug companies, other medical companies, they don't want people to be healthy. If the American population ate low fat, low sodium, whole food, 100% vegan, they'd hardly ever get sick. At least 70% of chronic disease is all just due to diet and to some extent toxins. But the toxins are often associated with the diet, like non-organic food is often sprayed with very toxic herbicides, GP and atrazine, for example. So what you're seeing is these are billion-dollar companies. I was reading a book recently, and they talked about, it was a China study, and they talked about the budget of some of these fast food companies. They literally make like $18 billion a year, okay? Incredible amounts of money. Kraft Foods and these other food companies and drug companies are supposedly richer than the food companies. They've got billions of dollars. Do you think they're going to let low-fat, low-sodium vegans like me have any significant influence in the public? No way. You're always going to see some like 40-year-old, good-looking man or woman up there, It's easy to stay good-looking and slim when you're about 40, even if you're eating a crappy diet. If you work out a ton, you can do it. But the older you get, you can no longer pull that off. Not that easy to look good after 50 if you're still eating a crappy diet. But the point I'm trying to say is, it's a fast way to make money is to promote unhealthy food. And you look on the internet, you're going to see all these people that don't know what they're talking about, telling people to eat olive oil, saying coffee is good for you, fish oil is good for you, canola oil is good. They're going to say, there's guys with PhDs now going around saying people should eat more sodium. They're total liars. They're being paid to do that. There's also people saying, oh, MSG is fine. You can have as much MSG as you want. No, there's real reasons to be concerned about that. I can also tell you, I know some dietitians, and I remember being shocked when I talked to dietitians. Now, this is a long time ago, and I haven't spoken to any dietitians on this subject recently, but I was talking to this dietitian at Whole Foods grocery store, and she was telling me about in the lectures at her dietitian school, she was told that high fructose corn syrup is fine. It's not a big deal. It's okay to eat that. And then, of course, it comes out that a lot of these places are funded by big food companies, of course. So what I'm trying to say is for the regular general public, and I have friends that, are trying to learn about nutrition and have spent a while trying to learn on their own before they talk to me, and they say they really can't make sense of it. There's so much contradictory information that, they think fish is good for you and chicken and turkey and all that, the whole routine. And so what I'm trying to say is I don't think this is going to change anytime soon. These companies have billions of dollars. They're going to constantly be hiring good-looking, articulate people to sell their stuff. And so they need the public to be fat and sick. That's where the money comes from. Once they're fat and sick, then the medical system can make a whole bunch of money off them. And so it's just the way it is. But for what it's worth, James Tour is this brilliant genius who he signed a petition with the Discovery Institute that's associated with intelligent design called Scientific Dissent from Darwinism. It says, we are skeptical of the claims for the ability of random mutation and natural selection to account for the complexity of life. You cannot improve Mozart by scratching one of his audio CDs with a paperclip, and that's pretty much what a mutation is. The vast majority are irrelevant or harmful. So anyways, I simply tell you about this guy, and like I said, if you're at all interested in biology, origin of life, and all this stuff, you will get a kick out of this guy. And just see how he just picks apart all the BS. It takes a lot of energy. I'm a busy clinical physician. I don't have time to do this on a routine basis. Yes, I find it quite amusing, okay? And I was fascinated by biology when I had the time to study it in more detail. But James Tour, man, you start talking about origin of life chemistry, he's great on the subject. So anyways.